The Sowman family has been farming for over 30 years. During that time, they've gradually expanded, using high-tech management tools along the way. They have a large herd, but manage it in a small herd way, with close attention paid to individual animals' health.
There's been exponential change here, and probably it's on its third change since I've been here. Well, we've bought out neighbours and had multiple cow sheds, and then 7 or 8 years ago put in a whole farm irrigation scheme, and that's been like Grandad's axe. You know, it's had 3 new heads and 2 new handles as we've evolved it, and so there's just been a constant evolution going on here. And I don't know if there's ever been any sort of kind of a big picture-y thing, although just been some imperatives that we thought, well, you know, if we just did this, you know, that would be better. And I guess the interesting thing for Glenda and I was that we were kind of half a generation out of sync. So as farmers got to retirement age on our boundary, we were in the go mode and essentially just aggregated off our boundary as farmers chose to move on to other things. So we were lucky. You know, small farming was fun, so big farming had to be even more fun. So, and you know, it has been.
Brian's son Corrigan was a consultant for Dexel and FarmRight before joining the family farming business.
The background was that we had 2 older herringbone cow sheds on our farm, 46 bale and 24 bale, and to really make them work we had 3 people in our 46 bale, 1.5 people in our 24 bale, 3 herds of cows on this farm at any one time, sometimes more, and a whole lot of complexity. So once we were confident about where the direction of our business was going, it was a lot easier to sit down and say, okay, we're prepared to invest some cash here in a one-site dairy. And my experience, I suppose, in the previous life to being a farmer, I'd seen a lot of modern sheds, I'd seen a lot of this technology, and I was quite confident that I could pull it all together and make something that would make this place a lot more efficient to run. We've got a 54 bale rotary dairy, and it's Intel Scan Milfos technology. So we've got milk meters and cup removers, and linked into ProTrack. And we were looking for a solution with some herd management software that coupled into what we've already been doing with Minder Pro, I suppose. We're pretty passionate about the breeding side of things in terms of having a high BW herd. We like to have good herd records, and we thought that the ultimate would be having those at the touch of a button in our cow shed. And that's why we went down the ProTrack route, and it just so happened that there was good working relationship between LIC and Milfos in terms of integrating data and sharing data together, and it made coupling those technologies together really simple. We were probably in the vicinity of 24 plus man hours a day associated with milking up to 1,000 cows at one point on this property. We've scaled stocking rate back in a drive for more per cow efficiency, which we've achieved, and at the same time it made having a 54 bale rotary dairy pretty compatible. We have brought our hours back to sort of in the 12 to 14 man hours a day vicinity. But what's more important, I suppose, is that instead of having a number of people tied up in the cow shed, we've got to a point now where for large parts of lactation, one person works in here sole charge, and the other staff are either out collecting cows or doing other jobs around the farm or having time off.
Corrigan took time out 5 years ago to supplement his knowledge at Lincoln University.
Furthering really what I'd learned at Lincoln was the benefits of monitoring and the benefits of a feed wedge, and how I could convey the feed situation on farm to my team here so we can make smart decisions. We had to get some good monitoring in place, and the first thing my partner Ruth and I did, I suppose, coming back here to the farm was to start walking it with a plate meter. We're a System 3 farm. We've got some constraints in the Takaka Valley, and they are about, firstly, wet springs. They're secondly about a super dry period somewhere in the summer, and that can happen for us anywhere from November to March. And we can get a short, sharp jolt in May, which can end lactation too. So our feed system here is about trying to be robust and resilient around that. So supplement is, you know, it can be a nemesis in our farm system if we don't manage it properly, or it can be really the icing on the cake, if you like. And supplement here in our farm system is about giving us control in wet springs so that we can protect our pastures, protect our cow condition as best you can, and protect our pasture cover. And so we will feed, and we've moved to an in-shed feeding system. We're utilising a simple irrigation technology here of K-line, and it originally went in around 200 odd hectares of the 270 hectare property. It was so good that we just kept expanding it, and we're in the fortunate position we had the resource of water that we're able to use for that. So we've grown the system now from originally a 12 to 14 day return interval, putting on say 40 millimetres of rain, to a 10-day return interval, and we can put on up to 50 millimetres at a time if we need to. But we're very careful to manage that using our soil moisture probes, so we don't want to waste water, and pumping costs are incredibly expensive, as is the time out there shifting it. We're in a really unusual situation here, and we're on a generation-fed river. To protect recharge in our local aquifer, we've got to be very careful about not pumping water below our consented level. And therefore, with a river that can be influenced by generation periodically throughout a day and fluctuating by 700,000%, we have to have a system that's bulletproof enough to turn off the minute that river is below recharge point, and then be able to turn on and utilise that water when it is above recharge point. And we're well on the way to doing that with technology. Telemetry, cell phones and gauges at our river site, text messages to our phones here on farm, and then text messages to our pumps. We can start, stop pumps all off a cell phone and have confidence. With regard to Aquaflex, and where I've found the most value is not so much in when to start and stop my irrigation, but it's been about what is my soil temperature, and I've been able to monitor that all year, and what's happening when I'm not irrigating but when rainfall's happening. And it's shown me that our farm can be near on field capacity for the first 70 to 80 days of the spring. And I suspect there's quite a few farms in New Zealand like that too, and it certainly helps us in saying, well, what's our management philosophy going to be this spring in that situation? How are we going to protect our soils? You know, and what's happening when we get 200 mils of rain overnight in Takaka Valley, which we do. There's no point collecting a lot of information if you're not going to use it. In terms of the greater business, we're using all the information we're collecting. So, well, we don't use it every day. We'll interrogate it at times of the season and use it for management decisions. And the moisture, soil temperatures is one side of that. Collecting information with the milk meters in the cow shed. It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to look at what every cow was producing every day, but more that I wanted a really efficient cut remover. And I found the best way to do that was couple it with a milk meter. The added benefit of that has been getting those milk weights, and I've found them really useful to match up against herd tests. It's shown me that my low PW cows really are my low PW cows. I don't want to create work for work's sake, so it's got to be simple, and those sort of systems are. I find it's actually easier to write things on a piece of paper half the time than put them in a computer, so you've got to find that balance.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.